I don't feel like it's much of a stretch to be like because I know what it is to be reminded of someone who's not you. Because everywhere I go, not everywhere I go, but once a day, someone will just come up to me and go, "How's Dave?" Almost every day. Chappelle. Like a lot of people know me.
And why are you taking that as being reminded of somebody better than you?
No. Well, it's not. Well, Dave's way more success. Dave's more talented. Like I see where you're going with that, and I appreciate it. Dave's a supernova. You know what I mean? Like I don't. And somebody, Rock actually said one time, like, you're not competitive with Dave because there's no point. It's not like it's a sprint and we're super close. Like Dave.
But here's what I found fascinating about you: the ability to write and create. Each one of us, every human being, even outside the business, has a tone or has a,
tone is vibration.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you seem to be able to write to, I've had probably, 10 failed pilots. And the reason I had failed pilots, they would come and see me in a club, or they knew me. This was in the 80s. And they'd go, we got to do, ABC wants to do the next Howie Mandel show. And NBC wants to do the next, and you play, and then they would go, we're putting you with a showrunner.
Yeah.
And they always put you with, for those that don't know, the showrunner is king in this town. And I get it, because when you're going to do a television show, the cheapest show is in the millions.
Yeah.
It's $1 million an episode for a half hour of regular
now
four
it's
camera.
Like 3.5.
Right. So it's $1 million of television. So in those days, they gave you an initial order for 13. Now it's maybe down to 10. But somebody had to say yes to $13 million. And because they saw you do stand-up and because they think you're a funny guy, that's a lot of money to put behind that. But the showrunner is the creative person that can, they believe, guarantee that they can come up with not just one funny pilot script, but 13
and
weeks.
Potentially 100.
Right, and potentially 100. And that's why, regardless of how excited they are about you, they always want to put you with like the Chuck Lorre's was well known in he did the Big Bang Theory and Two and a Half Men and the guy who did Ray Romano's show and
Phil Rosenthal.
Yeah. So those are the people. But they always put me with somebody who, I'm not denying, wasn't great.
Right. But it's got to be the right fit.
But never picked up my vibe.
Yeah.
Never was even close to my vibe.
Right.
And I was always, kowtowing to this is what the network, what you want to cancel? I wasn't like Roseanne, who was strong enough to say
fire people
and say that I wouldn't say this, I wouldn't do it like that. So I'm fascinated, and this is where I think the talent is. Because I know you don't talk about it, but I know some of the sketches that you're responsible for, and there's some of the outstanding sketches. The fact that you had the ability to tune in to his vibe and create something that he could, a platform that he could blast off from, almost means a little more to me. I'm not knocking Dave.
No,
Dave
I got it, but I would argue that that wasn't the relationship. The relationship wasn't like, come here, kid. I'm gonna I was a doorman at a comedy club. So I would go visit New York, see my brother, see all those guys, and then I got into NYU Film School, and I was going to film school, and then I started working the door at a comedy club, the Boston Comedy Club, in the Village in New York. And that was 91, 92. Dropped out in 92 because I was working the door at night, and the film students are the biggest cocksuckers alive, and they're just so pretentious and whatever. So it was like, I can either hang out with these pretentious motherfuckers, or down at that club is an unknown Dave Chappelle, an unknown Louis C.K., an unknown Sarah Silverman, unknown Dave Attell, unknown Jon Stewart, all these people. And I was like, I think they're unknown Mark Maron. I think those guys are Wanda Sykes. She was married to a man that I like them. That seems more vital than these people. So
right.
I'm working the door at a comedy club. I start working, not even working, just pitching shit to comics. Like, hey, maybe say this, maybe say that, which is very aggravating. The first Dave actually says his first instinct when I pitched a joke to him was to wince, and then it was good, and he was like, oh. So So and then that grew into, we wrote a couple bigger jokes together, and then we wrote Half Baked together, and then we did the TV show together. But I was never I like him. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm very talented, but I have to kind of love the person.
But it's kind of like Larry David and Jerry Seinfeld.
Yeah, but Larry, I don't know if I could do. There's something about Dave and sketch shows. Like I wrote for All That on Nickelodeon. I wrote some stuff in the intervening years when I wasn't writing with Dave, but we were still friends. And I'm a very good like sort of like scent dog, like hound dog. If you give me the thing, like I'll fucking go and bring back
But it's amazing that the same person writing sketches on All That is writing sketches on the Chappelle Show.
Right.
Is writing for the Daily Show.
Right. Well, the funny thing is, I was better at I was writing Chappelle Show sketches for All That, and it wasn't going so well.
You got to know your audience.
No, exactly. Like I just would have funny ideas, but it just was like for the wrong crowd. So I don't see that as like I was any kind of Svengali with anybody. People have like a tone, like you said, a tone or a vibration or a frequency, which is a word that me and Dave kept saying when we started working on the show. And you just sort of like, you get this essence, and if you do it correctly, if it's a dank enough essence, it can influence it can influence the logo, it can influence the production design, it can influence cost, it can everything.
Right.
And so I'm good at that.
Because I think that audience always is attracted to authenticity.
Yes.
And, you need to change if you have a tone, it's like you can have a nice shirt, but if you wear it with the wrong pants, it's not really a nice shirt. You don't have a nice outfit. And it's kind of like that same thing.